And I'm John, and I'm heading back to where I'm supposed to be. So I had this lovely thing written up, not too much. I left it at work. So, but um, I'd done research before, and um, I think of equanimity because we're doing, what are they, the four immeasurable? Yes, four immeasurables. And I think of equanimity, which is one of the big ones. And I think of that as recovery 101. Buddhism, you can't pull it out. It's rooted right in there. If you don't have the equanimity root, the plant will not thrive. But in recovery, you look at all these different treatment modalities that you hear, and you hear of acceptance and radical acceptance. Acceptance is a big thing in 12 steps. And here in Recovery Dharma, we call it equanimity. And the idea is that I will not thrive if I cannot live with things just as they are. And if I resist that, I create suffering for myself. And if you remember the Four Noble Truths, there is suffering, and there's a cause to suffering. That's number 2. 3, there is an end to suffering. And 4, there's a path that leads to the end of suffering. And that's the Noble Eightfold Path. And folded into the Noble Eightfold Path are those four immeasurables. And one of those is definitely equanimity. It means I need to accept the world for what it is today and live in that world. It's living without attachment. And I'm saying, we can have attachment, but not unhealthy attachment. Having my attachment be rooted in the real world. I still love people. It's not like that. That's not Buddhism. But whenever I'm attached to a concept or that something should be some way. When I think of this, I think of my dad, whom I love immensely. One of the things he struggled with his entire life was why me? Why me? And I'm so lucky I heard that, because I would hear he was trying to fix a leak under the sink one time. And my dad had 40 years of sobriety when he died. But I remembered him when he was drinking too. But this is when he is sober. And he's beating on the pipe because he can't fix the leak. And he makes the whole situation worse. He has to hire a plumber eventually because he's beating on the pipe with a wrench. But he's saying, why me? Why me? Oh God, why me? And you met my dad, you'd probably think my dad was delightful, and he was an amazing guy, but that's one thing he went through. And I remember sitting with my dad, and he was very stressed. And he was in his mid-70s, and he was having health problems and financial problems, and I was helping him out. And he goes, if only everything would work itself out, then it would be okay. And I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking of what he's talking about, his diabetes, his heart failure, his anxiety and depression, his retirement income not being very, very high. And I'm thinking none of these things are going to work themselves out. And so I'd talk with Hector, so it just got to be okay. And he'd go, so if only they would just work themselves out, everything would be okay. And I felt sad, really, really sad. So when I catch myself that way, and I will admit I buy lottery tickets. So buying lottery tickets is sort of like being like my dad that way. You give me a big stack of cash and I can do all sorts of stuff. Well, I can do all sorts of stuff without a big stack of cash also. But the idea that that would make me happier or more useful or more fulfilled is illusion. Equanimity tells me I will still suffer, that life will still be suffering, and that I'll develop an attachment to that money probably and create more suffering. But still I buy the tickets. So it's something I look at within myself too, how I could see my father struggle with that, and how I can see myself struggle with that in the same breath, the same breathing. So not being tied to the outcomes, being tied to the practice. The practice is the important thing. The outcome I can never predict. Many times it's better than what I predicted. Sometimes it's not nearly what I predicted, but it was. A quick thing is I'd like to work out, and I lift weights and I swim, but I've been swimming lately. And I hear all these people talking about their times, and I'm like, I can't make that time. I'm not going to be fit like these people are fit. Well, these people are of normal weight and are 20 to 30 years younger than me. My practice, but when I'm sitting in the pool and I'm swimming and I'm almost chanting with my body, and I'm focusing on reaching out as far as I can with my arms and making sure I'm kicking from my whole lower body, just not a piece of it, and listening and paying attention and agreeing with the water. What I find is I swim quicker. I don't swim as fast as those guys do. My fitness improves, and it's a very meditative exercise. It's like yoga in water. It is so sublime. And to me, that's what equanimity is. You know, when I go through this world, to think of it as swimming, think of the stretch, the pool, the using my whole body, the paying attention to my breath, being totally absorbed in that motion and in that activity. So equanimity is in that sense becomes much more than just straight up acceptance. It's living in that world. So I'm going to use the Recovery Dharma book for an equanimity meditation, and you may hear this again this week. It's a great meditation. So find a comfortable but alert position in which to sit or lie down or whatever you want to do. You can stand if you like. As you allow your eyes to gently close, pay attention to the body and see if there are any minor adjustments that will help you maintain the position for the duration of the meditation. Rest your hands comfortably on your lap or your legs by your side. We'll start with a few minutes of concentration practice, just to help our minds settle and arrive in our present time experience. Allow your breathing to be natural, seeing where in the body you can feel the breath most naturally. It may be in the stomach or abdomen, where you can feel the rising and falling as the body breathes. It might be in the chest, where you notice the expansion and contraction as the body inhales and exhales. Perhaps it's at the nostrils, where you can feel a slight tickle as the air comes in, and the subtle warmth as the body exhales. Breathing in, just bring a gentle awareness to the breath. Breathing out, be aware of the breath leaving the body. You may notice the mind wandering. This offers us an opportunity to cultivate mindfulness and concentration. Each time we notice the mind wandering, we're strengthening our ability to recognize our present experience. Each time we bring the mind back to the breath, we strengthen our ability to concentrate. Treat it as an opportunity rather than a problem. I've heard it described as training a puppy. So if I see my mind wander, I can say, like it's a puppy, I can say, "Come back, puppy. Come back." Gently, no reason to be harsh. In equanimity practice, we're cultivating a mind and heart that stays balanced and at ease with our surroundings. In equanimity, we come to understand that our happiness and suffering are not caused by our experience and circumstances, but in our responses to them. We may begin our equanimity practice by repeating the following phrases for ourselves. I am responsible for my own actions. I am responsible for the energy and attention I give my thoughts, feelings, and experiences. May I find a true source of happiness. May I find peace exactly where I am. Now bring to mind someone who has benefited you or been especially kind to you. This may be a loved one, a friend, a teacher, or a mentor. As this person comes to mind, tune in your natural desire to see this person happy, free from suffering, and at ease with life. The practice is to recognize that although we may offer this person compassion, we are not in control of their happiness. Equanimity helps us to let go of the outcome and focus on our own practice. Repeat silently to yourself the following phrases. Regardless of my wishes for you, your happiness is not in my hands. All beings are responsible for the suffering or happiness created by their own actions. May you find a true source of happiness. May you find peace exactly where you are. Let this person go from your mind and bring to mind a neutral person. This is someone you see maybe regularly but don't know very well. Maybe somebody who works somewhere you go to a lot, a coworker, a person you've seen at meetings, or maybe a neighbor. Although you don't know this person well, you can recognize that just as you wish to be happy, this person wants to be happy as well. You don't need to know what their happiness looks like. Again, offer this person the phrases of equanimity, recognizing that you aren't in charge of their happiness. Regardless of my wishes for you, your happiness is not in my hands. All beings are responsible for the suffering or happiness created by their own actions. May you do what needs to be done to find happiness. May you find peace exactly where you are. Now,
letting this neutral person go, think of somebody whom you find difficult or toward whom you feel resentment, hurt, or jealousy. You may not want to pick the most difficult person in your life. Instead, choose someone who is currently agitating or annoying you. Again, offer these phrases of equanimity with the intention of recognizing that they are in charge of their own happiness and ease. Regardless of my wishes for you, your happiness is not in my hands. All beings are responsible for the suffering or happiness created by their own actions. May you find a true source of happiness. May you find peace exactly where you are. Now, letting go of all thoughts of others, return your focus to your own body, mind, and heart. Notice any discomfort, tension, or difficulty you may be feeling. Notice if you are experiencing any new lightness, warmth, relaxation, or joy. Notice if you feel any increase in your ability to care without controlling, to accept that each of us is responsible for the consequences of our own actions. Then, whenever you are ready, allow your eyes to open and gently return your attention to the space around you. Namaste.
Okay, Sangha, let's prepare to do the dedication of merit. So just get comfortable. Refuge does not arise in a particular place, but in the space within the goodness of our hearts. When this space is imbued with wisdom, respect, and love, we call it Sangha. We hope that the pain of addiction, trauma, and feeling apart actually leads us back toward the heart, and that we might understand compassion, wisdom, and change ever more deeply. As we have learned from practice, great pain does not erase goodness, but in fact informs it. May we make the best use of our practice and whatever freedom arises from our efforts here today. May this be a cause and condition for less suffering and more safety in our world. Namaste.